The achievements of our discipline have been the result not only of those who consider themselves professional folklorists, but those engaged in other endeavors who share with folklorists a sense of the importance of grassroots cultures and the folklore vision. The work of those outside our discipline is rarely recognized, and it is with this in mind that a group of us from the public folklore section of AFS worked with the Society to create the new Archie Green Public Folklore Advocacy Award. The award is designed for an individual who operates largely outside the Society and the discipline, but who has made significant contributions to the preservation and encouragement of folk traditions in the United States. I am so pleased to announce that the first recipient of the new Archie Green Public Folklore Advocacy Prize is being awarded to filmmaker Tom Davenport. Let me quote from some of the nomination letters. In the mid-1990s, Tom and Mimi Davenport grasped the potential of the internet to help users worldwide discover and appreciate the American folklife documentaries produced since the 1960s. With a grant from the NEH, they successfully created a prototype for the FolkStreams website, developed institutional alliances with iBiblio at UNC to stream it, and with the UNC Southern Folklife Collection to archive preservation copies of the films. They built an advisory committee composed of folklorists and other scholars, filmmakers, archivists, and computer specialists. In 2002, they incorporated and launched folkstreams.net. With further grants, Tom has continued to build FolkStreams. By 2009, the website was streaming 121 films by 135 filmmakers, nearly half accompanied by background materials. FolkStreams also has special portals for teachers, seniors, and film preservationists, and uses previews on YouTube to reach wider audiences. During the full year of 2008, FolkStreams had 4 million page views, 8 million hits. We often talk about the importance of making the work of the artists with whom we collaborate visible, but in creating FolkStreams, Tom Davenport has made our work visible. He has made the work of folklorists and folk artists visible and accessible to the public, to future generations of scholars, and to the communities from which that work has emanated. And I just wanted to say, on a personal note, back in the mid-'80s, I made a film called The Grand Generation with Marjorie Hunt and Paul Wagner, and it started out with Nimrod Workman. Those of you who have seen the film, Nimrod Workman at the age of 89 saying, "I'm the father of 13 children and 89 grandchildren, and last count I had of them 58 great-grandchildren." Well, the film was streamed on FolkStreams, and the trailer was up on YouTube, and what do I see when I go and look at the comments on YouTube? His great-grandchildren finding him through YouTube. And actually, Catnip 2007 saying, "Yes, I miss Paw Nimrod. He contributed a lot to our heritage and left us with a wonderful legacy. So I guess that makes us first cousins." So I'm very pleased that Tom Davenport is the first recipient of this award, and he can't be here tonight with us, but Sherry Sherman is going to accept it on his behalf.
Next, I'd like to invite Marilyn White to come to the podium to announce the Zora Neale Hurston Prize.
Hi, I'm really pleased to announce the Zora Neale Hurston Prize for 2009. This prize of $100 is named for the pioneering folklorist, ethnographer, and creative writer who worked in and wrote extensively about African American communities throughout the southern United States. The prize is given to a graduate or undergraduate student for the best work in any medium, including but not limited to papers, films, sound recordings, or exhibitions on African American folklore. And I must say in regard to this, that this year the prize committee, which consisted of myself and Adrian L. Seward, professor, Colorado College, wanted me to add all of that, interpreted that very broadly, considering the work that Zora Neale Hurston had done, not just in the United States, but in the Caribbean. The Zora Neale Hurston Prize for 2009 is awarded to Jelani Mahiri for Slavery, Inequality, and Informal Work, a genealogical investigation of occupational folklore in Brazil. We felt that this was a strong paper with good analysis and, quote, in the style, unquote, of Hurston's own work. It was conceptually whole, and it asked and answered a specific question about the intersection of enslavement, class, and the ideology of urban market economies in 19th century Brazil. We'd also like to acknowledge 2 additional submissions. Phyllis May Machunda for her work toward an embodied communicative theory of African American cheering as performance, and Brett Rogers on the memory of Caves Community, a Missouri Freedmen's Settlement. I'm not sure if Jelani is here. Okay, all right. So we congratulate Jelani Mahiri.
She should have put it up. I'd like to ask Amy Skillman to come to the podium for the Americo Paredes Prize.
I'm surprised I don't have to adjust this after Marilyn. I noticed that. Well, this gives me incredible honor to be able to do this. Dan Sheehy would be standing next to me if he were here. Each year, the AFS Task Force on Cultural Diversity, Chicano Section, and the Folklore Latino, Latina Americano y Caribeño Section join with the AFS Executive Board to give this prize, which recognizes excellence in integrating scholarship and engagement with the people and communities one studies, or in teaching and encouraging scholars and practitioners to work in their own cultures and communities. It's named for Americo Paredes, and those of you who don't know who he is or was, Paredes contributed significantly to the formation of various intellectual trends, and in particular to the scholarship on native folklorists and anthropologists. Indeed, he trained several generations of natives. He was the first Mexican American to receive a PhD at the University of Texas, where he taught from 1958 until his retirement in 1984. The Paredes Prize recognizes his contributions to the field and to the society, gives respect to his memory, and recognizes exemplary achievements that build upon his cross-disciplinary, socially engaged legacy. The Americo Paredes Prize Committee has met and unanimously selected Deborah Kodish to receive this year's award. I have a very long thing to read about you, Deborah. Deborah's one of my favorite people. So, For well over 2 decades, Deborah Kodish has modeled the essence of Americo Paredes, socially engaged scholarship that reflects the deepest respect for and involvement of community. A scholar, event and media producer, community organizer, leader, mentor, teacher, and caring human being, Deborah has proven her prolific prowess as one of our nation's most admired and multi-dimensional folklorists. The organization she founded and directs, the Philadelphia Folklore Project, has for over 2 decades proven itself to be a pillar of empowerment for traditions, for traditional artists and their communities, a public platform for community cultural issues, and a champion of cultural diversity in its purpose, content, and inclusive collaborative style. Throughout her professional life, Deborah has successfully integrated scholarship and engagement with the people and the communities with whom she researches and produces. In doing so, she has created a vast community of trust in Philadelphia. At the same time, Deborah thinks and acts globally as well as locally. She has long been a tireless advocate at all levels of government for folklife research, programming, funding support, and the rights of artists and community members to sustain their traditions and cultural practices. Deborah Kodish has provided all sectors of our field a model for years to come of successful institutional cooperation, community involvement, and research integrity. Without a doubt, more than a few folklorists, me included almost on a daily basis, when facing a new community cultural challenge, have asked themselves, what would Deborah do? These are but a few of the many reasons the 2009 Americo Paredes Prize is awarded to our accomplished and admired colleague, Deborah Kodish.
I just want to say that's like really exaggerated. And I want to say that Dr. Paredes is one of my teachers, and it's just really a great privilege and a real responsibility. So thank you.
And finally, our last prize. I want to ask Patricia Turner to come and announce the AFS Kenneth Goldstein Award for Lifetime Academic Leadership. Will you write the honor?
Thanks very much. I thought I would be the one who would go informal and say Kenny rather than Kenneth first, so I'm glad you did it. It's my privilege to announce this year's winner of the AFS Kenneth Goldstein Award for Lifetime Academic Leadership. And I was trying to think about how to distill what this award is for, because I don't think it's one that many other societies recognize, that it's one that's identified, and it's so important to all disciplines, but particularly one like ours. So what I think that the committee was looking for in the recipient of this year's award was a person who, for their lifetime, put the well-being of their students, of their colleagues, and the discipline ahead of themselves, and who made the phone calls, attended the meetings, did the unglamorous work, but the very important work of our field foremost. And appropriately, this year's recipient has done that, and I understand he's recently celebrated his 80th birthday and isn't able to be with us tonight, but Dan Patterson, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. all of that unrecognized work, and reading the materials, it looked like much more than 80 years worth of work, and I'm sure that he didn't start in diapers. What I'd like to encourage folks to do, if you want to congratulate him on this award, is send him a note and tell him how much his contributions have meant to all of us. Thank you.